you know that every American uses an average of about 70 gallons of water a day in his home? But rarely, none of them think of purification of water. Purification cleanses dirt and disease and germs out of our oceans and streams. Did you ever think, when you were drinking a glass of water, taking a bath, washing the car, doing the dishes, or using any kind of source with water, about where it came from or what was in it? And my next topic I'm going to talk about is the three main desalting processes. That's where we get most of our drinking water from, is the ocean. The first is distillation, electrolysis, and freezing. Distillation is the oldest way of turning seawater into fresh water. Seawater is, to distill seawater, is simply by boiling it in a teapot and piping the steam in a cool bottle. The steam rises, leaving the salt behind. As the steam cools in the bottle, it condenses the fresh water. This project I have right here is my first experiment. The main lab tools I used was a flask, tube, test tube, beaker, burner, and a ring holder. This took me approximately 37 minutes. I put in 50 milliliters, first of all, of salt water, and came out with 4 drops of fresh water. I failed with this experiment because I put too much precipitation was escaping from the test tube. So I changed some of the tools, and I put a stopper here. This prevented most of the precipitation coming out. This took me approximately 25 minutes, and I got 25 milliliters out of 50. Here are some main plants that we use. Pass this around. Also, in this project, the flask I used was this right here, out of both projects. This was the condensing of the salt to the bottle, and as you can see, it clung. This was out of both experiments, so you can see it's kind of burnt. The temperature was at least 120 degrees to get this to boil. In electrolysis, salt water is pumped through a series of which is divided into 3 departments by thin membranes, which are impermeable but to water. When salt dissolves in water, it breaks up into electrically charged particles, or ions of sodium and chlorine. The sodium ions, which carry the positive charge, pass through the membranes and cluster around the negative terminal. The negatively charged chlorine ions are attracted to the positive terminal. This process is repeated until the middle chamber is filled with ions. In the freezing, supercooled butane is pumped into salt water in a freezing chamber. An ice slush is formed and is pumped to the bottom of a large separating vat. The ice particles float to the surface of the vat and are scraped off with an electric blade. Ice spills over into the surrounding chamber, and it melts into pure water and is piped away. I have some diagrams on this here, and also I have some pictures here. Here is the electrolysis operation up here, where the positive and negatively charged, here are the ions going through. The brine comes in somewhere around here. Well, the brine goes out here. And the brackish water comes in here and goes into 3 ways. Here is also the freezing demonstration. Here, the brine comes in here and the seawater here. Ice freezes in this chamber, goes into the vat and is scraped off. Freshwater brine here. In my home distillation process, the water seeps through all the accessories and comes out clean by the dirt clinging to the accessories. First I use a flower pot, and I'm supposed to have a hole, but I just couldn't get it done. The cotton sticks through this hole. Next, I put in rocks. These are flower rocks which lets the water seep through to them. My next is powdered charcoal. This is also from the flat shop, and I use it to soak up most of the materials. Next from the bottom is my fine sand. This looks like flour in Bisquick, but it's not. It's very fine, and when you touch it, you really can't feel anything. It's very interesting and neat to look at. That came from a fish tank. It's filterization for it. My next is coarse sand, and that just comes from the side of the house. And at the top, of course, you pour in the muddy water, and it seeps through. The other processes that I have not named yet are malted splash, lone tube vertical multiple effect distillation, forced circular vapor compressed distillation, reverse osmosis distillation, and vapor compression distillation. Also, sun distillation. Here are some articles on sun distillation on how to purify it, and here I have a diagram of it also. This is mostly from solar energy. Here's the sun in the shield, which comes through in the vein down here. The fresh water comes out here. I do not know exactly how it works, but I'm sure it would be very interesting to know about it, more about it. I'm also going to read some processes. I found this magazine, and it has 5 main steps. This is mostly summarizing this. Fresh waters pick up impurities at various stages of the cycle. So that the water will be safe for drinking, it is piped to a water treatment plant. There it goes through a series of purification processes like the one shown here. The first one is the water is sprayed into air, where it mixes with oxygen. The oxygen helps the growth of bacteria that eat some of the impurities. Second, after a chemical called alume is added, the water swirls to a large mixture tank. In the water, the alume forms sticky particles. Dirt and other impurities stick to these particles. 3, the water flows into a settling tank. The particles weighted down by the impurities sink to the bottom. The 4th is the water flows into a filter tank. There the water trickles through layers of charcoal, sand, gravel, and rocks. These filter bed traps screen out many particles remaining in the water. This is mostly from my home distillation process, which came in number 4. A chemical is then added called chlorine. It kills...
No.
Oh, what is it?